Wow, this is a good round table.
Long time coming, Charlie.
It's been a long time coming, but I was just saying before you came on there, and this is quite important because of the way that people have looked up to the stars in Hollywood. People underestimate how much respect there is in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka for Bollywood. And when the truth starts to come out, there's going to be a lot of pain and suffering. And our job really is just to try and break the fall and just to make people a little bit aware of what's going on. And I've been talking, we've all talked about this is all to cover up the paedophilia, the child trafficking. But I was talking to a good friend of mine who's direct to somebody on the front line in Spain, who's actually sent me a video of the bodies being recovered from these deep underground bases. And my wife just said, I don't even want to see it. And it's absolutely disgusting. The scale that it's on of what we've come up against is unbelievable. And to think all these people have been involved. And the numbers of people in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, most of the world just don't realize. They just see Pakistanis and Indians and Bangladeshis living in London, living in Washington, New York, California. They've got no idea that when you go into these countries, the volumes of people that are there. And the other thing that was pointed out to me the other day, the amount of genocide that's already gone on with when they were testing the vaccinations out in India, 35,000 children died.
Yeah.
Nothing in mainstream media.
No.
It's almost like the Indians don't matter or the Pakistanis don't matter. They did the same in Africa. And you forget that every single soul, doesn't matter the color of your skin, every single soul is valuable.
Absolutely.
And this arrogance of these people.
Absolutely, Charlie. I think that you've raised something really important there. The Indian Asian community really do look up to Bollywood, and you and I have spoken about that, and there's nothing out there as such in mainstream media at all, and we can stop expecting that until we get full public disclosure about what's really been going on. But we're still quite a way away from our communities really waking up, and this is the sort of issues that I've had, as you know, Tiana, yourself has experienced some of this cognitive dissonance from our communities. Wasim, we were speaking last night, and it's really very, very severe still. People are waking up. It's not that they're ignorant. It's a question of being able to talk about it the way we are speaking about it on these forums, these chats, and it's coming to a stage now where it's getting quite arduous in trying to convince them that, hey, look, this is what's happening. Tiana, you had a bit of an experience yesterday where there was just blatant lies in the Evening Standard, and I made sure that I expressed this on the social media platforms, and maybe you can sort of share your story with us there.
So, I mean, Charlie, you're all aware, I think, already, but basically I had an interview with the Evening Standard because they wanted to talk a little bit about the Q movement, and they wanted to give some light, shed some light on it, how it's going in the UK, because we get a lot of news about it from America, but, they wanted to do this piece. And so the girl was lovely on the phone when she spoke to me, but I should have been able to tell halfway through the chat, she kept trying to navigate the conversation towards whether I had any fallouts with friends. And she kept asking me specifically whether I had massive fallouts and if my family aren't talking to me anymore. And I was very, I told her with quite a lot of conviction that isn't the case. I've got family that are actually very supportive. They're very encouraging of all this alternative research that I do. And I specifically told her that please don't put down that Q is a cult, because what sort of cult brainwashes you into thinking for yourself? And I've given her so many, I tried to give her basically a Q lesson in those 20 minutes. And I thought she understood, and she was being quiet. She seemed like she agreed, and she was just being very mellow and lovely and naturally inquisitive about everything. So I just thought, okay, fine, I'm pretty sure this piece might go well. She might actually write the truth for once. But we were, not really surprised when the article came out that it was completely just misquotation after misquotation, and she carefully curated the piece in a way that it made, just to mock it as usual, really.
Can I ask you a question, Tiana? Because I looked at the piece, and there was one part of me, I don't know if it's accurate or not, one part of me that thought she wanted to tell the truth, but her bosses were controlling the narrative, because the detail she went into was enough to red pill people that were half and half. That's what I thought.
True. That's very true. I do think there were parts of it that were completely, I mean, the part where she said that Biden's inauguration was staged, Q people believe this. This is a red pill for a lot of people, isn't it? I mean, it could make anyone go and try and investigate. And I think what's amazing is the same day that that paper came out was also the same day that CNN was actually red pilling people about QAnon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it was really interesting because the Patriots really are in control. I think everything that's happening in the world stage right now is being controlled by the Patriots. And we know it had to play out this way because Trump had to not be in the picture for everyone to come to these realizations about Biden and his false campaign promises. But I thought it was really interesting how the same day that CNN was teaching people about Q, CNN was actually directing people to the Joe M video, which was absolutely, that's crazy. Yeah. And then the next day we hear the news about the Lincoln Project, the founder of the Lincoln Project being a pedophile. And then the next day we hear about Marilyn Manson. So, you know, the pattern of the news is not coincidental, I think. I mean,
I think it's slowly showing people very subliminally, but slowly. It can't be so immediate because, you know, people go into like so much shock. And right now, I thought exactly the same thing when I read that. I thought that the white hats are in control, but they're just subliminally trying to coerce the public and into, you know, dropping the seeds, planting the seeds. And then, you know, when it does come to public disclosure, it won't be that much of a surprise, because they've been seeing everything on social media, and you know, but we're seeing what's been your experience.
You know, though, yes, I actually told her that this Q operation, you know, it's nothing new. We saw this happen during the, it's happened a few times in history, actually. During the American Revolution, I think the Patriots were working with General Washington, and they'd communicate with other Patriots through code to bypass the British. So they use things like invisible ink, encoded messages like ciphers, and Q is really just a modern day version of that. But because, you know, we are in the age of technology, it's easier to expose these underground movements. Like, you know, I'm sure during the Second World War, if we had this much media, there'd be exposure of the French resistance, which was the underground movement then, right? But I told her all of this, but, you know, she didn't really put anything in that.
Can I just say one thing, Wasim? That if I'd ever seen the pictures that I've seen of Jesus, has anybody ever told you look exactly like him?
I really appreciate that, and most importantly, I appreciate the three of you and everybody that's been involved with waking me up, because oh my God, when you told me we're going into amazing times, when you told me that you just sit back and relax, you really just had the truth. You feel it. You just know you're telling the truth, and it just makes sense, just like you say. And when the puzzle started to fit together, and then Tiana, Alpa, Melke, everybody, Nicholas, it just all made sense. And then from there, I just decided, let me just sit back and enjoy the ride. And when you're that happy, when you're in the fifth dimension, nobody can get to you. And I really mean that, because you know what's coming, and you know that heaven on earth is here now. So we just have to go through the darkness and the tunnel, but there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And Nasara proves that. And you guys, the content, I'm extremely grateful, and I really mean that from my heart. Like, it makes me emotional, but it's really the truth. I do my best to wake people up, but it's been a little challenging, especially in the New York City area. Melke talks all about that, but being able to speak to the three of you right now, it's a blessing, and I really appreciate it.
This is the important thing, is that every single person, no matter whether they're male, female, black or white, Pakistani, Indian, Bangladeshi, It makes no difference. We're one piece in a puzzle. And when you put that one piece with another piece, you get a bit more clarity, and so on. And when you get 4 people together, you get even more clarity. And you get a dozen people together, you get even more clarity. The more people we get together, the clearer it looks, and the more peaceful you feel inside. But every now and then we get a rogue piece that needs to be thrown out because they're on the 3rd dimension and they're not part of the puzzle. We've seen that on this journey, and this is where the good part about what's happening now. When Biden got in, we saw some really pieces in the puzzle that didn't quite look right, but now we see they didn't fit. And we've got rid of those pieces, and we'll replace them with pieces that do fit in the puzzle so that we get complete clarity at the end.
Yeah.
If you look closely, it's not the same Biden. It's not the same.
No, it's nothing like him.
The original looks very demonic.
Yeah.
Very, so true.
It
His eyes look so different.
Yeah.
That's with everyone. If you look at Mark Zuckerberg, Joe Biden, everyone's just looking so different. You see the story yesterday about George Bezos resigning from Amazon. I mean, surprise, surprise. You know, we're starting to see so many things drip fed into the media, and it's purposeful, and it's been done in this way. Is there any wonder why there's all these arrests happening and now starting to seep their way into mainstream media? Look at what happened in Myanmar. That I can never pronounce her name. Aung Suu Kung, or
Yeah, that's her.
That's Aung Sung, A-U-N-G. Yeah, she.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
her. I was sharing all those articles about her being arrested. But if we are connecting it to who she hung around with, what she stood for in the pretense of being a good person, is it any wonder now that these people are now being subjected to this controversy? And it's slowly happening. And Charlie, if you recall on our very first conversation back in July, we said very specifically that this has been taken over by the White Hats and everything is going to be playing out a movie. How this movie is playing out, we're seeing this now. So we're deciphering, watching how it plays out. We're getting some things wrong. Sometimes, we don't really know exactly accurately how it's going to plan out. Are they really going to tell us the ins and outs on a public forum? So we are having to decipher, discern all this information. So let's take the inauguration, for example. Come on, we all wanted to see some arrests there, myself included. But really, was that going to happen? And should it have been that much of a disappointment? So this taught us a lot of lessons along the way, I feel. Mm-hmm. And now, we must stay in faith. We must stay in that confidence, because this is playing out the way we researched 6 months ago or 8 months ago. But it's just the intricacies and the exact accuracies of how it's going to play out that we're sort of guessing. And we should be enjoying that rather than feeling like deflated or nitpicking or blaming somebody, or blaming Charlie for it, blaming Tiana for it, or me.
Yeah, but people need to realize there's always contingencies in a war, right? Things are always going to change. And I'm so glad you brought up the Myanmar thing. I think, the fact that Myanmar has declared a state of emergency because of widespread voter fraud, and now they're saying the fact that the military have now detained the current ruling politicians, they've taken over the reins for about a whole year, right?
Yep.
I mean, is this a possible foreshadowing of what's about to happen in America? I mean, I think it's getting people warmed up to the idea that it's protocol for the military to intervene when there's election interference.
That's exactly it. Definitely.
I mean, this is building up the narrative right now, isn't it?
It's starting in a specific place, and it will roll out, because places like Pakistan will realize that the elections there were rigged. South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Mexico, England. I was doing some research, and some naughty research, and it was hilarious that the Brexit vote was so much in favor of leave, you couldn't make it up. They paid huge amounts of money to flip the vote so that England stayed in the EU, and that they lost that one, and they were absolutely fuming, because they didn't realize that the public opinion was so way out to what the mainstream media was. I think it was about 75% of the British public wanted to leave the EU.
Yeah.
They didn't flip enough votes. And of course, when you've paid billions of pounds of dirty money to do a job and it hasn't worked, you look an absolute idiot to all your people around you, because you're telling the Prime Minister, mate, I paid them for it, and they're saying, well, he paid for this amount. This is what you got. Yeah, but I was told by him that that was more than enough, because they didn't want to make it look too obvious. This is why for me it's hilarious, because what happened in America, anybody with just an ounce of common sense, you don't need to be intelligent. When you work out how many votes Trump got and the fact that Biden got more, you go, something's not right there. When you've got more votes than there are people allowed to vote, might be something wrong. No, that's definitely right. It's just like wakey. I've actually seen the figures. I've seen the hard figures off the quantum voting system, and the quantum voting system shows that Trump won by 80%.
Yeah, of course.
Biden didn't get 20%. He didn't even get 15%. He got 14.7%. And the rest were other people. I mean, the gap was that bad. That's how much it cost them, I think, 4.8 billion to Dominion to get those votes switched.
Charlie, it's becoming so evident. I mean, every video the White House posts, there's like a disproportionate amount of dislikes, and they keep trying to cover it up. I mean, even the comments are turned off. And it was supposed to be that this clown got 80 million votes.
Yeah.
It's laughable the way they're scrounging to cover up his gross unpopularity. It's ridiculous.
If fish could vote, he still wouldn't have got 80 million votes. I mean, the dogs and cats could vote, he still wouldn't get anywhere close to that. The guy's an imbecile.
It's not really him.
No, I know that. I know.
Yeah, well, I do feel sorry for this one, because it's not the real Joe Biden who.
This was actually cute. Like, he's the clone is cute. He's funny the way he talks.
They've done this purposefully. I think they've made him into an imbecile just for comedy value, for sure.
It's great fun to watch.
It really is.
It really is. I think that people are missing out who are not awake. I say this from a good place, but this is so much fun. Like, what for the comedy value and everything that we're learning, the journey that we're all going through, learning about ourselves. We're evolving spiritually so much every single day, and how much we're coming together, this community, in unity. It's amazing, and Charlie, your famous slogan, we are living in the best times, incredible.
Well, that's what Wasim said just now. Thank you, girls, for waking me up.
Yes,
because I can sit back and enjoy it, and you can see in Wasim's face that he's enjoying it. He's loving the ride, whereas other people are sat there. Other people are sat there shitting themselves.
It baffles me to go outside, and I think that people are waking up, but I'm seeing now people wearing triple masks. I saw a video that showed that they're doing anal swabs now, and I was just like, they're trolling you.
They're taking the piss, because you can get it done in Walmart now. You can get an anal swab done in Walmart at the counter. I mean, how far have they got to go before people go, that's a bit silly?
And this Joe Biden even tells you what he's going to do.
I know.
To show you that you're an asshole.
I might even go shopping at Walmart just for the experience, just for the fun. I mean, how silly can it be?
I had to get the COVID test in Dubai, and I was telling Alpa this. It was really uncomfortable. They basically take the swab and twist it right inside your nasal cavity, where it can possibly touch the blood-brain barrier. And there's actually a very thin bone that covers the brain, between the brain and the nasal sinus, and it's called the cribriform plate, and it's basically the rooftop of your nasal cavity. So it's like a sieve, and it's a sieve-like structure basically, and it's between the anterior cranial and the nasal cavity, and the plate has openings that have nerves that go through the plate and the brain. And I was listening to Dr. Rashid Buttar, and you won't believe this, on his latest video where he talks about the swabs that are being used. He's got some videos up, and I'll try and link them. I'll send them to you so you can link them down below. The swabs for the COVID test are not your usual cotton swabs.
No,
it's silver in color, because it's filled with nanoparticles.
Correct.
And you see the silver fiber moving.
Correct.
And that's not normal. Why should silver strands move like they have their own mind or something? It's really scary, and I can't believe they my brain now.
It's an implant.
My friend actually got the test, and after he got it, he couldn't smell and he couldn't taste right after.
Oh my God, I couldn't. The same thing happened to me, Wasim. You won't believe it. When I came back from Dubai, I kept telling my mom I can't taste anything. And then I thought, okay, maybe I'm just being paranoid, and this is a placebo effect happening, but I really can't taste anything. at the moment.
Soon you won't be able to think anything.
Oh no.
Do you know what makes me laugh talking to you guys?
Zeolite, zeolite, zeolite.
You know, I use that anyway, but what makes me laugh is if I don't want an injection or I don't want a test, do you know who I go looking for? Indian and Pakistan doctors, because they can all be bought. And you know, I get them done. I'm like, you must know the wrong ones. My Dr. Chowdhury, $100 gets me a certificate for nothing. I mean, the guy's an absolute diamond. Oh, he's in London, though. And he'll give me a certificate and medicine for anything, bless him. No questions, no problems, Charlie, all done.
Oh.
But this is why I love them, because you just go, look, I don't want to do this. When I go into Africa, go through customs, say you need yellow fever. No, I don't. I don't need yellow fever. I'm absolutely fine. How much? $100? Okay, $100. You give me the certificate, I'm happy. I'm staying in the Kempinski, by the way. So I won't be leaving there. I'm not going to the outback and not going into the bush or anything like that. I'm going to be in a 5-star hotel. No problem.
Yeah, well, that is true. You know, you can get a lot of things done in India, and I'm sure in Pakistan and in Bangladesh.
And in London and in New York. There's Indians there as well.
You know, they do. And let's not, you know, sugarcoat that, because it's true. It really is true. The level of—
Do you know what it tells you? It tells you they've got common sense.
Yeah.
But the ones that won't do it have got no common sense. And this is what the world is lacking right now, is common sense. And it's on this journey, I've looked at these people who claim they're, you know, got degrees in this, degrees in that. When it comes to common sense, they've got nothing. Nothing between their ears. Rocks.
I mean, well, that's evident with the 3 masks, and then whoever adheres to that, I mean, really, they need to have a word with themselves, seriously. 3 masks, 4 masks, anal swabs. Come on now. Okay, you know, we were living with just the one, and you kind of like have to bite your lip, but now 3. I mean, they don't have a right to ask you to wear a mask, by the way. You need to sort of get yourself a fay with
fresh air is a God-given right.
They don't, and they can't ask to see your medical records if you say you're exempt. You know, they can't here in the UK, and I'm in a battle every day when I go to the supermarket. They try to make me wear a mask, and I refuse. And you know, you articulate your case well, and then just like, computer says no, they don't know what to say. Sometimes they fight, sometimes, but you have to make a stand. You can't, as David Icke says, acquiesce. And this is what's happening, a revolution, a worldwide revolution. And by speaking up in whatever entirety that we're speaking in, and whatever capacity we must speak up and focus on, you know, the issues at hand. You know, it's all fashion.
I'll ask a question, because I've found out today that in 2021, more people have died of the vaccine than COVID-19, but they seem to be hiding the figures, and I don't know why that is. I'm just asking.
Yeah. It's a very apparent, Charlie. We can see what's going on, but there are people still clutching onto this narrative that there is this very deadly virus that's
not as deadly as the vaccine, but it's deadly, yeah.
Deadly, yeah, because people are you know, dying on the streets, and every single 5 seconds, and you know, that's what's happening. But again, like you said, it all boils down to common sense, and it's the way everybody's been programmed. It's the wiring, and we have to employ a little bit of empathy there, because they're so indoctrinated in every possible way, even these academics. And we speak about this all the time, don't we, Charlie? And this is what's happening. So where are we heading in the next few months? That's what I want to focus on now.
There's another thing I'm just going to point out here, because I've had 3 conversations in the last 24 hours with doctors who've had their livelihood threatened.
Yes.
They'll be delisted and blacklisted if they don't follow the narrative.
Yeah.
So that we're now getting into the stage of blackmail, where doctors are being blackmailed to say that this is dangerous. If they go outside of the parameters, they'll be delisted and blacklisted, and they'll lose their career. This shows you how sick these little puppies are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and in New York, there was the whole thing about doctors getting paid, or well, the management getting paid $36,000 for every death and $16,000 for every diagnosis of COVID. Back then, this was in April, May last year. So there's so much going on behind the scenes, and people are scared for their livelihood, their jobs. You know, they don't have the courage, maybe they're compromised, and it's not easy for them. So we're having this sort of imbalance in people wanting to speak up but cannot. Some people are brave and say, well, I don't care, I'll lose everything, but I want to sort of align with the truth. So we're here, and everyone's here on their own journey. And how far are we from everyone being in unity consciousness? Well, time is just an illusion. So, you know, the more we keep saying, the more we keep talking about this, the more we keep, you know, talking the truth, we're creating momentum for sure.
Yeah, completely. I wanted to ask Charlie, how much of this COVID, well, how much of it is going to come out in the public domain of how it really was a weapon to, you know?
I think that there will be quite a bit come out about it. I've said right from when I started the journey back in March last year, this was all a smokescreen for the global financial reset. And just while we're on that point there on the global financial reset, we're very, very close to that happening. We're waiting on the approval of the budget in Iraq. And as soon as that's approved, that'll be the first domino. Once the financial reset, the revaluation and the reset has taken place with the good side, with the white hats against the corrupt evil side, then will be the exposing of how it was all, the virus, the vaccine, the 5G was all used to cover this up. And it's one of these difficult things because it's the lesser of the two evils. And it's a difficult one because I'm starting to understand now. Can you imagine the hardworking people of India, Pakistan, New York, London, being told, hang on, especially the police force and the militaries, all of your pension funds have gone, disappeared. All countries will be in civil war. In Spain, they'd go absolutely mental if they realised their pension fund has gone. They've all gone because when these countries and corporations were bankrupted, the only assets they had were the federal pension funds. That's all they had.
Right.
Everything else was gone. So Saudi Arabia and the Communist Party of China, who were the people that were owed the money, have basically pulled in the debt which Trump allowed them to do because he needed to bankrupt them to make them realise, and he stopped them printing money. That's why he took the Federal Reserve into the Treasury, so they can't just continue to print ad lib. So we're just, I lost my train of thought there with the Fed.
Pension funds.
Oh, the pension funds. So the pension funds have all gone. There is no pension funds. None. They've gone. So the critical thing now is that Trump is working between when November the 3rd until March the 4th is 120 days.
Yeah.
That's the period that he's setting up what I call Nasara. I said as a joke, he'll probably call it the Trump-Sara. But he hasn't. He's called it the Patriot Party. I quite like that. I think that's good. But the name is irrelevant. The name is completely irrelevant. It's the fundamentals of what it does for people. Taking away debt, enslavement, all of these things. That's the critical part. The name of it. If you take my mortgage, well, I don't have a mortgage, but if you take people's mortgages away, they don't give a shit who took it away. Doesn't matter the name. If Hitler took it away, they'd be happy.
Yeah.
If Bin Laden took it away, they'd be happy. If Saddam Hussein took it away, they'd be happy. Don't care. Take it away. Doesn't matter. So the relevance of the name is immaterial. Take away my debt. Take away my enslavement. Give me freedom. Give me my freedom of thought, my freedom of choice. So that's where we're at right now. And if and it is a theory. If my theory, it is based on an awful lot of research and some inside information. But if my theory is correct, then the month of February is going to be one hell of a roller coaster.
It is.
We're going to see the collapse of the stock exchange.
Yep.
We're going to see an awful lot of things going on that we were not expecting. When I asked one of my people on the inside a question about, so what can we expect in February? He just said one hell of a dirty ride.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to sit still and watch because I know a fraction of what they know. And if they're telling me one hell of a dirty ride, it's going to be fun to just sit back and go, I was there and I was awake and I was watching the show.
I was enjoying it. Yeah, definitely. Definitely agree with you there, Charlie. And
the benefit is being locked down is a good thing this month. Keep out of the way of trouble and just sit back and watch what's happening.
Yeah, and Tiana, your show on the GameStop scenario, the whole thing was brilliant. It was really good. Good breakdown of what's going on in the stock market, because that's what's happening, right? It's exposing the corruption.
I just don't think it's a coincidence, right? The Wall Street bets, it looks like a young Donald Trump. I mean, that's crazy.
No.
That's not, I mean,
the
that's
irony.
communication enough for us to know that the Patriots are in control.
And GameStop, the irony in that name.
Yeah, exactly.
GameStop, so there's so much happening, but again, all tying in with exposing corruption at in every establishment. And this is what's happening. And we knew this, we've known this for a while. So we're just seeing how it's all rolling out. It's brilliant.
Right.
It's brilliant. Yeah, but February is going to be, well, every month's been crazy, Charlie.
It has. How's it in New York, Wasim?
Just ask Mel K.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's pretty much homeless people everywhere. There's no more tourism. It's really sad. It's literally just, well, New York has always had a dark cloud over it because of the negative vibrations and everything, but it's a carcass.
But what's the sentiment post Biden now? Because there was a lot of Biden supporters in New York. I know so many personally that were just rejoicing when he won. And now, how many days? 12 days, huh?
There was cheering on the streets. People were honking their horn. I was like, are you serious? There's this many people? I didn't know, because I don't really associate outside. Everybody's in fear all the time. So I believe when
your own bliss.
The world is going more into fear, but going into, I think our role is to be as positive as we can and uplift each other. And I believe the more and more we raise our vibration and increase our blessings, the less fear because fear is just an illusion. So you're able to sit comfortably and, just like Charlie says, reset your moral compass. That's actually true. That literally means you know the right decision and you know the wrong decision. You pick, you get to choose. And the more you pick the right decision, the more you align with God or source or whatever you want to call it. And you just feel good and you feel safe and your vibration's high and nobody can mess with you.
I wonder what I wonder what the split is between those that are complicit and those that are ignorant.
Yeah.
I think, Charlie, can you clear this up? I'm not sure if I'm completely right, but there is a lot of military at the moment in Washington. And I know that the original Constitution made each state like a separate country and said that every state could have its own currency, its own army, just like any other country. And they used the District of Columbia, right, as a liaison with the rest of the world, which made Washington, D.C. a foreign entity of sovereign states. But fast forward to now, when Trump signed the executive order for election interference in 2018, he spoke of entities both foreign and domestic.
Yeah.
Was he referring to Washington as that foreign entity? Because when we are now living in a republic, and I mean, not we, but the American people are living in a republic and a private company simultaneously, or is it? But you said it's completely dissolved now.
Yeah, it
The
has.
corporation has been dissolved, but what I love about the way that Trump and his team have managed this, they've used all their ammunition against themselves. They've let them do it themselves. They've let them hang themselves on their own rope. They've let them dig their own holes and fall inside them. And everything they've done, they've turned the White House, which is DC, District of Columbia, into literally a prison. Something happened at 10 o'clock last night, I don't know what, where there was a cavalcade of presidential vehicles that came in and left at 10 p.m. last night, which was nobody would talk about it. But we've got a team of people there that are trying to establish what actually happened. Something happened. We know at the weekend there was hundreds of arrests from Congress. But again, the mainstream media are not giving anything away. So we're having to get people in Washington to go and talk to the military and find out which ones will give us any information, because some will, some won't.
Mm.
The ones who turned their back on the parade are very willing to tell us exactly what's going on. The ones that are facing the other way won't. But it's very interesting to find out. There's a lot going on, and it's just a question of finding out from people on the ground. Because
Right.
I've learned, even on my journey, and I'm not very good at video work, I can edit out bits of ever so easy, you know. I've got quite good at it. But these guys, they do it for a living. They do it for a living.
Yeah, they can manipulate. They have been manipulating. The media's manipulated everything. They can edit, omit, add in words that weren't said. I mean, it's just horrendous. And then when you start seeing what Trump actually said at given press conferences, and you know, especially about the child sex trafficking, you know, he spoke so much about this, and there was nothing about this on mainstream media at all. So yeah, very, very evident that
the one thing that did frustrate me with Tiana with her interview, the focus on the word Islam,
yeah,
just being her surname. You know, Islam is a peaceful religion for those millions of great people in the world who are part of it, and same with Christianity. But we've had some idiots on the Christian side as they have on the Islamic side. But to put everybody into the same box is absolutely mental. But that's how the mainstream media have been doing it.
Right.
So far, touch wood, in my life, I haven't come up against any aggressive, violent Muslims. And I've met bin Laden, who I think the absolute world of, or did when he was alive, bless him. He was a lovely, lovely man. Sadly, he died of old age, which was a great shame, because they killed us a double or whatever it was. But as a gentleman, what a lovely human being he was. And people say to me, well, that's different from what I knew. But I've never come up against a wrong 'un, for the want of a better word. And we had it, you know, we had it in Waco in Texas with the Christian cult where they were killing people, and of course you know, they overlooked that, and they didn't blame it on Christianity, did they? In those days, they blamed it on a nutter. And that, you know, this is where I remember when I was in the courts in England, speaking in defense of other people who'd left the religion that I was in, and I referred to the fact that I was brainwashed, and they said, oh no, you're a Christian, you can't be brainwashed, you must be indoctrinated, it's the Muslims who are brainwashed. I went, it's the same word. Indoctrination and brainwash is the same thing.
what's the difference?
But this is how they do it. You know, they manipulate things to suit themselves.
Yeah.
And the one word that I learned recently that I absolutely loved, that I thought was this will make you smile as well. Not this one, the next one, is the word person. The word person is taken from the Latin word mask wearer. Yeah, that says. The other thing that made me laugh, I was talking about the Bible yesterday, so you guys come from the part of the world where, it's closer to Israel and the Middle East and what have you. And then you think about it and you go, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I'd struggle to find any of those names in Israel, Syria, Iran, Iraq, today, let alone 2,000 years ago. And suddenly I was like, wow, yeah, when you think about it like that, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Yeah, that's the New Testament, so it came from the Greek descent. But even in Greece, you struggle to find those names. So then then the questions go, right, okay, let's start looking at it, and let's try and find out what the truth is. This is why when they took the history out of the Vatican, the artifacts, the documentation.
Look at how much was found. We don't even know the full extent of what was found in the Vatican. Gold,
no idea.
Documents, everything about our history, the truth, what's been taken away and suppressed, and what we've been led to believe about our religious texts even. So we must be questioning everything now. And this is the time, the age of Aquarius. It started yesterday, effectively, on the 2nd. And we need to kind of be questioning everything. Surely everything that's happening on the planet does not make sense just to anyone. But this is it. It just goes to show where everyone is at mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically wearing a mask.
I think one thing that's very clear with the four of us is we all look rather peaceful. Whereas we're living in a world that is absolutely scared shitless at the moment.
Absolutely. So Charlie, you know, just before we finish, we've got 6 weeks now till the 4th of March. And what are your expectations now, what we are going to see unfold? This is not, no one's going to obviously hold you to this. This is just your theory, your views, you know, about what we're going to see till the 4th of March. This date where we're expecting Trump to be the 19th president.
Well, the biggest thing that I can guarantee 100% is that my office is going to be finished. Because you know where I'm stuck in my little office. I built a new one, Alpa.
Good answer.
But no, what's going to happen? What do I see happening? I think one of the biggest things, in very simple terms, is we're living in the time of revelation.
Yes.
We're living in a time where things are going to be revealed for what is right and what is wrong. And gradually people will wake up to the truth. The one thing about the truth is it makes sense and lies don't. And then people will start to, there'll be a period of embarrassment, especially from those who've had the anal swabs. And the next person has the nose swab because they didn't want the anal swab. That's yeah, okay, that makes sense. When will the penny drop? So yeah, it's going to be, this is the period of revelation. The time scale, you have to look at the Constitution. The Constitution is very clear. 1 minute past 12 on the 4th of March is when the inauguration should take place. I'm just hoping it's in 2021.
Right, you're hoping it's in 2021. Okay, that says quite a bit.
I'm hoping so, because we've been on a bumpy road so far. And the question is, how far have we got to go to expose evil before people wake up to good?
Well, just look how much evil there's been on the planet.
Yeah.
It's been so much. We've been living through this for 11 months. Look how long this has been happening. And we're all feeling like, okay, the people that are feeling frustrated about timelines and how long is this going to go on? How long has the evil been happening? Just how long has that been happening?
Since time began.
Yes. And, you know, we're looking over 12,000 years of Sabbatarian bloodshed that's been going on for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And we want to fix it in 11 months. You know, this is retribution. This is karmic. This is cyclical, what's going on. And we have to kind of, we're sitting here taking a back seat, knowing that this is a movie being played out. And I think that if we have the revelations happening in the way that they're happening right now, which is a good thing. I think we've got, it's a bit of a shortcut, really, because the karmic cycles of all of this, you know, people have done very bad things on the planet and we've played a part in it, all of us, for being and remaining ignorant. And the people who are choosing to wake up now, choosing to actually question things, choosing to actually say, hang on a minute, this has not been right. You know, it's a part of our own salvation and helping us to sort of open our eyes to so many things that were wrong. So I want to stay on that path. I choose to stay on that path. And ultimately, we always have a choice and what we choose, you know,
So should we not stick to the 4th of March as a specific time? I mean, we shouldn't be sticking to any
timelines.
I think, yeah, no, I don't. Look, we'd all love that to happen. It's very simple. But as long as they get rid of evil and good takes control, whether it takes us 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or a year, it doesn't matter to me. As long as we get rid of what's evil, and that's what's happening right now. It's a process of getting rid of what's evil. And just to be aware of what's evil and what's good. You can do that by resetting your moral compass so you understand what's right and wrong. I remember when my children were young, growing up, and a particular girl, a teenage girl, was stealing non-stop. And I was talking to her and I said, why do you steal? She said, well, everybody steals. And I said, no, they don't. It's just everybody in your circle of friends steals. Normal people don't do that. And it depends what circles you move in. That they think that everybody does this. Everybody does this. No, they don't. And that's when your moral compass is out of sync.
Right.
And then when you get your moral compass in sync, number one, first of all, you feel harmony. You feel peace. And you feel a little bit chuffed with yourself. You go, yeah, I know, I've got complete clarity now what's happening.
Yeah, you're out of herd mentality. And
Yeah.
that's what happens in communities. It's the herd mentality that keeps them stuck and fixated on materialism. It's here in the Asian community here in North London is very much like cliquey, and I say this with respect. It's been very difficult and arduous for me to kind of explain to my people here that, look, this is actually not what it seems. And because they've been in Northwick Park Hospital last summer, there were a lot of deaths in that hospital, but no one made the correlation with the flu jab, and most people within the Asian communities have had the flu jab. No one's linking any of that. So it's becoming, that's where I've kind of had difficulties. So my theory now is that, well, people are at their own pace. If they want to wake up, they're going to wake up when they're meant to wake up, or they're not going to wake up. And getting out of this herd mentality, trying to get people out of herd mentality is not our job anymore. We've just planted seeds. Whatever they've taken from that, that's their journey.
Absolutely. I think my favorite part in all of this is that I read somewhere that Trump red pilled the normies, Biden is red pilling the lefties, and the military will red pill the whole world. And I think my favorite part in all of this is honestly Biden's press secretary, Jen Psaki. How incompetent can one person be? She even asked the press now to send in their questions in advance so that she could prepare for them. I mean, so she just keeps circling back to everyone every single time they ask her a question. And just compare her briefings to Kaylee's.
Yeah.
There's so much going on her. She still can't cope. I mean, Kaylee got complex, like trigonometric questions that no one knew the answer to, but she always managed to give them an informed and educated response. But this girl is something else.
It's a great pantomime.
It is.
People don't realize the power of meme culture, like millennial meme culture. There were memes going around of comparing her to Kaylee and how pale and unsightly her face was when she came on. And she started wearing makeup now. So
yeah,
the meme culture is very important.
The meme culture it's actually been entertaining as well. I love my memes.
Well, Wasim, thanks very much for joining us. What on earth time is it with you?
I know.
It's almost 6 a.m. in the morning.
6 a.m. in the morning. You're a legend.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Charlie, for just switching it an hour later, because it gave Wasim a bit of time. Otherwise, he would have been at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I messaged him yesterday and said, you can come at 5. And he was like, I'm ready. So enthusiastic and
brilliant. Well, it's great to see you.
Great energy, all of you, as always. And that's the main thing, keep your spirits high and keep positive.
Absolutely. And Wasim, we definitely have to do Alpa. We need to do another roundtable with Wasim very soon.
Definitely. This is brilliant.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you so much. Positive that platform.
Positivity is the best thing. I'm quite happy to do this again and again and again, because we need to get this into the Asian community to get them to understand the truth.
Charlie, you're just, unstoppable. No matter what gets thrown at you, whatever you do, you're just always positive, always smiling. I started my journey with you. Tiana started her journey with you. Wasim, thank you so much for being here, in whichever way. And whatever, come rain, shine, sunshine, whatever gets thrown at you, you're just always upbeat and positive and funny. So thank you.
Because my wife locks me in the office, I'm not allowed out. I have to make the best of it.
She locks him up in the den. Guys, it's been amazing. Thank you, everyone. It's been really good.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers, Wasim.
Thank you.